Hi, my name is Dr. Kaileigh Byrne, and I'm an assistant professor here in the human factors area of the psychology department at Clemson University, and I lead the cognition and decision science lab. I started at Clemson 3 years ago when I applied for an assistant professor position. I was really impressed by the warmth of the department, how welcoming they were, and this really nice balance of being super productive, but also laid back and warm and welcoming. I think that's a really unique dynamic, and I was really attracted to it. In college, I was a double major in biology and psychology, and I did an internship at the Texas Tech Psychiatric Genetics Center on a project that investigated risk factors and trajectories of children who had a parent with bipolar or schizophrenia. And one of the things that I was really drawn to as part of that project was the cognitive assessments, so doing things like executive functioning, inhibitory control, reasoning tasks, and things like that. And just understanding the cognitive correlates of these mental health conditions was really eye-opening to me. And it made me realize how intensely certain health or even situational factors could profoundly affect cognition in our decisions. And so much of our lives are governed by the decisions. And so I was kind of struck by how little we know about the relationship between cognition and mental and physical health. And so from there, I was motivated to go to graduate school and study cognitive psychology. And so I pursued my PhD in cognition and cognitive neuroscience at Texas A&M University in College Station. In my lab right now, we have a lot of exciting projects going on. One of the projects that we're working on is examining risk perception and coronavirus prevention behavior. So we're examining how general risk-taking behavior and reward processing affects the decision to wear masks and social distance in the current pandemic climate. So that's one project that we're working on. We have a second project going on right now that is looking more at the physiological correlates of decision-making and how different emotional states can affect decision-making. So in particular, we're using physiological measures like galvanic skin response and heart rate variability to examine how positive and negative emotional states affect effort-based decision-making. And our early findings show that negative emotional states and a high degree of physiological reactivity to negative images reduces willingness to exert effort to obtain large rewards. Additionally, I do a lot of aging research. And so in terms of aging research right now, our focus is on understanding how social technology like Facebook and Skype can mitigate the detrimental relationship between social isolation and dementia. So there's a lot of research recently showing that older adults who experience social isolation have higher rates of dementia. So our first question is why? Why does this relationship exist? And secondly, can using social technology reduce this risk of social isolation? And we're also going to be examining racial disparities in this relationship as well, because dementia, especially in South Carolina and the South in general, disproportionately affects minorities. So that's a big ongoing project that we have. And finally, my current graduate student is very interested in the intersection between mental health and technology. So we're going to be examining how digital technology like cognitive behavioral therapy apps can be optimized to mitigate symptoms of depression and anxiety. So what kind of app features work, which don't. So this is a new project that we're in the stages of launching. In my cognition and decision science lab, we have a 2-room lab on campus. That's outfitted with an EEG and physiological measures like galvanic skin response and heart rate variability measures and electrooculogram and eye tracking. And my lab also has 1 graduate student, PhD student right now, 15 undergraduates that are part of our creative inquiry program, which is unique to Clemson. That allows undergraduates to have a really immersed experience working with graduate students and faculty. And I usually have 2 lab managers as well. In addition to the on-campus space, I also have some lab space at the Institute for Engaged Aging, which is located in our local hospital. In terms of graduate students, I really love it when we have a vibrant group of students and staff, so like lab managers working together. And so I think having 2 to 3 graduate students that can both collaborate and have their own independent projects would really facilitate the lab dynamic. So I am interested in growing our group of graduate students in the lab to add maybe 1 or 2 additional graduate students. My advising style is really dependent on each student's preferences, at least at the beginning stages of their graduate student career. I like to have weekly meetings and check in on overall goals and skills, but it is just really dependent on what the student prefers. So if the student wants more, communication and, meetings more than once a week, I'm completely okay with that. If they want, fewer meetings, that's fine. And as they go through, their graduate career, they'll become more independent and, need to rely on me a little bit less. So we might meet less frequently. I really emphasize communication. So I think it's really important, sending things like daily emails just to check in, be like, hey, any clarifications on this? I really want to be a resource for them and be, an advocate for graduate students. And I'm kind of flexible in my advising style and just coming up with something that works for both the student and myself. So when I am considering potential new graduate students, I think the 2 biggest things that I look for are enthusiasm. So enthusiasm for research that we're conducting in our lab and potential to become an independent researcher. I also think that fit in terms of research interests, enthusiasm for research, and work ethic are incredibly important because when you go to graduate school, right, you're committing to either 2 or 5 years of working with someone, and you want to make sure that that dynamic is really positive and that, work styles are really, intermeshed together. And so I think fit, for both work ethic and research interest is critical. Some other factors that I also take into consideration are just kind of general creativity in terms of, writing and ideas, as well as strong statistical or computer skills. I think in terms of strategies that I utilize to help students become successful throughout their graduate career, I think planning is really, really important. So every semester I work with my graduate students to develop a plan, both in terms of skills for the semester and research goals. So in terms of skills, we check in, at the beginning stages, things like t-tests, ANOVAs, regressions, so kind of concrete skills that by the end they can say, I have learned this. I know when to use these analysis and I know how. And I know how to do that in SPSS and R. Maybe it's, becoming proficient in Excel. Maybe they take a short course in Excel, to boost their skills. But we set specific goals, concrete goals each semester for both skills and research progress. And so I really emphasize in my lab becoming proficient in just more than one, research project. So it's my preference that graduate students have 3 projects going on and are part of each different stage. So 1 project in the planning stage, 1 project that's ongoing in terms of data collection, and a 3rd project that's finished in the writing stage. So I think just setting goals and staying on track with that just helps to build skills in terms, soft skills in terms of research, skill management, time management, project management. That'll be really critical for any job that a student pursues, as well as gaining concrete skills in terms of statistics, research, et cetera.